welcome to We Did a Podcast, number 15. We now have more sequels than
most things.
Most things,
really.
Most things. There's not a lot of 15s. We're still catching up to James Bond, I guess. Today we're talking about TV villains, and we're going to organize it in a good old top three, bottom
get into
three.
some villainry, so to speak.
Villainry, the baddies. Talking about the baddies.
The good baddies and the bad baddies.
The bad baddies, yeah. So, Frank, why don't you hit us up with your first worst villain?
So I have as my number 3, Officer Dawn Lerner from The Walking Dead Season 5. She's the one who heads up the little hospital group.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I hate that villain. I remember watching it as the season was coming out and just hating every decision.
Yeah.
And it's not even the hardest part about having to do this bottom 3 villains is you're supposed to hate a villain.
Yeah.
And so it makes it so hard to choose. And I had to I went back and forth on a lot of different villains that I was thinking about. But Officer Dawn I hated because she was just a frustrating character. Constantly found myself frustrated with every decision that this lady was making and her reasons for making those decisions. But she did kill Beth, so that's why she's my number 3 and not my number 1.
Our songbird. I agree with you 100% on your reasoning behind what a bad villain is. It's one that you just can't stand.
Yeah.
Because a good villain, although you might be like, oh, I hate this guy. It's still a compelling character to follow. Whereas a bad villain's just ugh. And she definitely feels bad. She's got a good old case of The Walking Dead. Whenever they add in a plot that's not from the comic book, I feel like it kind of falters.
The chances for survival or success for that plot is just real thin.
That whole chapter where they go to that hospital, that should have been really interesting.
Mm-hmm. It had a lot of potential.
Keeping people in there, great set area to explore and everything. And then the way that she dies and then Beth dies just feels so anticlimactic after Beth gets separated and you have to follow her all season. Yeah. And she's already not the character anyone wants to follow.
No.
Yeah, that's hilarious because I also have Walking Dead on my list, but I honestly forgot about this part. I just flat out forgot about this. It's the same thing with the prison when they have that storyline about everyone getting sick.
Oh yeah,
it's just
the villain for that little arc is the disease, some virus.
They do that all the time on Walking Dead, and it's man. Sometimes you wish they just stuck closer to the source. It might have just been considerably more consistent.
Oh yeah. Well, what do you have for your number 3, David?
My number 3 went a little humorous, went a little lighthearted here. Every Scooby-Doo villain, essentially.
Okay.
All of them.
That's an interesting choice. I like that. I like what you did there.
I got Dexter later on my list, and strangely enough, Scooby-Doo and Dexter have the exact same plot line every episode. It's the enemy, then some kind of trap is set up, some kind of scheme goes down, and then ultimately the other guy gets caught red-handed. Of course, what happens at the end of the episode is very different, depending on which one of those you're watching. But in Scooby-Doo's case, it's always I'm here so I can get money from this land instead of giving. It's well, dude, there's probably a way easier way to do this instead of, dressing up as a monster and then chasing people off. Literally, how much time are you putting into just being at this haunted fairgrounds? You know what I mean? At all hours of the day. So it's a little ridiculous. Of course, obviously.
And these kids are traveling all around the country, it seems right? There can't be this many haunted places in one city. What are these? How are these kids paying for all this gas and the snacks and
there's so many
presumably
questions to Scooby-Doo.
Shaggy and Scooby's drugs?
Aren't they technically isn't this their job? Aren't they the Mystery Inc?
I guess so.
Or is that a later?
How much
Scooby-Doo
do they charge?
Thing? To be honest, I can't even remember if that was. Because I know that's a thing later that they become in these newer Scooby-Doos. Uh-huh. I'm thinking OG 60 Scooby-Doo. I don't think they were.
But it's always been the Mystery Machine, hasn't it?
It always has been the Mystery Machine.
Well, why paint Mystery Machine on the side of your van if your purpose for driving that van isn't solving mysteries?
But you never see them get any money at the end of the episode. It's always just well, gang, that's another one we wrapped up here.
Are they a non-profit?
Maybe they're just out for it was the 60s.
But it also
You're just going
seems
with the
like they
flow.
just stumble across these things. You know what I mean? They're just like out of place, and then it happens to be haunted.
Well,
and
they
end up
like
having to
break
solve it.
down and they're like, oh, we got to go over to this old barn over
yeah.
here. Or Daphne's like, I know some random man who's 20 years older than me in this next town. And then who knows what happens. But I mean, those characters are designed to be stupid. And of course, it's just like a little mystery for kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're terrible villains. None of them are savvy. None of them. All of the holes and sometimes literal holes they fall into could be avoided if they were just a little bit smarter, Frank. Just a little bit smarter.
Well, that's true, David. Well, I'm glad you referenced Dexter because my number 2 is actually from Dexter, from season 8, the final season, right?
Ooh.
There's 8 seasons of Dexter, right?
Crazy. Okay, yeah.
Oliver Saxon, whose
Saxon.
whose like birth name was Daniel Vogel. She's the son of Dr. Vogel, who like is the psychiatrist who kind of created Dexter.
Oh.
And he's the brain surgeon killer.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember this. Dexter goes on for a while.
Yeah,
Jeez.
right. So I don't like this villain. One, because it's from season 8 of Dexter, and season 8 of Dexter, not the greatest season of Dexter. And the ending, I hate it. I hate the ending.
Is 8 the final season?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. So the end of that thing. And who is the kid in that season? Isn't that the season where he has like the young apprentice?
Like a protege.
Yeah. A protege.
I forget who the actor is, but this guy was played by Dari Ingolfsson. Dari Ingolfsson. I always do this.
Yeah. And I know, well, we talked a little bit about Sons of Anarchy before this.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those shows, Dexter and Sons of Anarchy, have this thing where every season it's like, who's the villain of the season?
Right.
And sometimes it's really successful, and then sometimes it just kind of falls
It's a flop.
flat.
And there's a few villains in Dexter that are kind of just like whatever, because those seasons, and they're kind of the reasons that those seasons are so lackluster.
Yes, you're 100% right, though.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how good the villain is. It sets the tone for the whole season.
And this villain's kind of whole like motivation for being after Dexter is like, my mommy gives you more attention than she gives me. My mommy loves you more than she loves me. And it's like after all the different arcs that they put Dexter through, this is such a lame like thing to be battling.
Yeah, it is kind of lame. I want to. I read the first Dexter book, and the book gets really different than the show does. And I wonder, like, how does the book tie up the whole thing? Because I'd be curious to check it out. Like, in the book, he kills LaGuerta at the end of the first book. She's just gone. And eventually he ends up training.
Like super early on.
Yeah, super early on. Like, she's not an annoying, literally just a nuisance the whole season, or the whole series. He ends up training Rita's son.
Okay.
Because he sees the dark passenger because of Rita's abusive husband. It's a little bit of a stretch. It's a lot more than like seeing your mom chainsawed in a storage tank or whatever it was that got Dexter into it.
That's exactly what it was.
That one is, at Dexter, I think there's more picks, and I have a pick from Dexter as well.
Oh,
which
nice.
is funny.
I
So,
wonder who you picked. A top or a bottom?
you have to find out, Frank.
I guess I'll find out soon.
Well, my next one, if you're good on Dexter, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. I mean, there's not like a whole lot of points. Season 8 of Dexter, like I said before, not a great season. I don't know if it was necessarily bad acting, but I just didn't. The character had like no flavor to it, no pizzazz.
Yeah.
And your psychopathic killer, you want some pizzazz, you want some flair, man, some showmanship. It was just kind of a lame villain. That's all I really got to say about it.
I think 8 just ran out of stamina.
Yeah.
And if they had ended the show a season or two earlier.
How did you feel about the ending of Dexter? I hated it.
90% of people don't like it. I've met like one person who's like, oh, well, it's really symbolic. I was like, shut up.
Was it George Solis?
Maybe.
Sounds like a George Solis.
He's wrong about the Star Wars prequels.
He liked the politics of the final episode of Dexter.
Ugh, gross. Okay, so my number 2 for worst villain, worst TV villain. I have David Morrissey playing the governor on Walking Dead. So this is my Walking Dead plug. There are so many forgettable Walking Dead villains, some so forgettable that I forgot about them, like the one you were talking about. I also was thinking about picking the group of cannibals.
Okay, yeah.
The leader of that, and I don't even remember what his
train
name
station?
is. He has some weird name. It's like Gaydon or
Okay.
Gareth. Gareth is his name. He's annoying, but I thought that storyline gets synced up pretty quick.
Yeah. It was everything you needed from it.
Yeah, it was short, sweet, and just you were like, oh, okay, cool.
It was fun because there was a lot of like build up to that moment with the signs and everything. So it's nice to just like they didn't drag it out too long. It was just like, here you go. This is what it is, and this is how it ends.
Which, I mean, now at the point that we're in Walking Dead, there's a lot of people who are frustrated with the show or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of, well, it's particularly with the all-out war arc with Negan and everything, I think they went too long. It could have just been more accelerated and just felt like relentless. It felt just more like, oh, I'm just like waiting to see what's going to happen. The Governor is the same problem to me, is that, and I don't know if you remember, I mean, how well you remember this, but they're building it up. And then as comic book readers, we're waiting for that giant battle at the prison.
Yeah.
They build it up. And then at the end of the season, the Governor just ends up killing all his own people.
He just like goes crazy. Yeah.
And then the next season, we get this like indie drama story arc about the Governor and like a little redemption, and then he suckers a whole nother group of people in just so they can have enough bodies to do what they should have done the season before, and it just feels so
sometimes you make bad decisions.
It's a terrible
as a
decision.
filmmaker or as a villain.
Up to that point, I dug his performance too. It's not even that I think he's a bad performer. It's really more of the writing of the show.
Yeah.
But it just feels so anticlimactic.
Oh, for
You're
sure.
like, man, here it comes. And then on top of that, and you know, comic or TV Walking Dead spoilers, but you're expecting Lori to die with Judith getting shot. Like that's the tragic part of that story arc.
I mean, I'm still pretty upset
And they
about
didn't
that
do
baby
it.
being alive.
Yeah.
That may be an unpopular opinion. That's my hot take for the day.
Yeah.
That baby should be dead.
I agree 100%. They should have gotten rid of that baby. I just don't. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they thought it was just too much. It was too intense for people.
That's
but
exactly why they should have done it.
yeah, Walking Dead just shouldn't have been on AMC. It should have been on HBO or Showtime. And
We could have gotten real nitty gritty with it.
yeah, and you can't just you can't pull any punches in Walking Dead. It's got to feel like awful.
That's what makes a
sometimes.
comic book feel so good, because
Yeah.
there are like some awful scenes.
Although you're super behind now.
I am super
I read an
behind.
issue last night that was just like, what? And I'm talking about New World Order
Interesting.
Part 4. For if anyone is a comic reader out there, I think you know who I'm talking about. A certain character shows up, and it was like literally unbelievable.
Is it just like somebody who hasn't been there for a long time, or like a brand new character?
Both sort of
Interesting.
in a weird way, and I can't say anymore.
Very interesting. I really need to catch up, man.
But that's mine, man. I think the Governor was a big missed opportunity, and in a way, it like set the tone for the missed opportunities that would be taken in Walking Dead. But we'll see. I'm in it till the end with the show. I'm curious to see how they're going to handle this whole departure of Rick Grimes and everything. But
Yeah,
that's
that is
my number
very
2.
interesting, man.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a weird season of television.
Oh yeah.
What you got next? What's your top
My top
worst?
villain, top worst, the villain I hate the most. Well, I got another surprise for you, David. My top was Daniel Vogel. I only chose 2 worst so that I could fit in another best.
Oh
my
God.
number 4 best.
You just do this every time. I don't know why I'm ever surprised by it.
I do it because I know you're still going to be surprised about it, and that's very fun for me.
I guess that is true.
Like
Daniel
thinking like,
Vogel.
can I get away with this one more time? And then I do.
Well, you just always just get away with it.
Yeah.
I know Daniel Vogel. Who's he from?
Daniel Vogel was Oliver
What's he
Saxon.
from?
We just
Sorry.
talked about him.
Oh,
Dexter.
okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Silly David. So my top 4 is going to be Clay Morrow from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay. So you
yeah.
just ended up picking him anyways. That's a good one.
I wanted to squeeze him back in there. Played by Ron Perlman, which is a super awesome choice for this. He's very like foreboding physically, even though his story arc is kind of him like losing that, and that's kind of the motivation behind his character too, because like all of Clay's terrible decisions are made like because Clay wants to get what Clay wants.
Yeah.
And one of those main motivating factors is like he's losing the grip in his hands, and he's about to lose all the power he has in this club. And so he's just trying to scoop up as much money as he can, like no matter who it hurts. And he's been on the villain track for a long time, supposedly.
Well, yeah.
Or
I mean,
maybe JT just crashed it on his own. Who knows?
yeah. The assumption is pretty early in the show that you're not supposed to like him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's in the first season. And again, pretty much spoilers for any show we're talking about, but isn't he the reason Opie's wife dies?
Yeah.
He gives the order, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the first thing, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, definitely.
Where you're like, whoa, this guy's
not
news.
making some good decisions.
Yeah.
And I almost chose like Clay and Gemma because they are like such a big team together.
Oh.
But there is that separation like towards the end of the series
Yeah.
where like even Gemma starts falling victim to like Clay's decisions.
Yeah. He is the reason why everything goes bad, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. He's
Like definitely. Every like Jax ends up with like Clay's mess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he has to like find his way out of that. But if Clay wasn't messing stuff up so bad to begin with, it never would have been an issue.
That's a good point.
A lot of it wouldn't have been an issue. He could have led it to the path he was thinking of the whole time, of like going legit and everything.
Yeah, that's true. Right from the and well, just two things about that. The first part is that Sons of Anarchy, especially if you haven't seen it or maybe you've like been interested and haven't checked it out, it is a very like old school crime drama, like family crime story.
Oh, for sure.
And it's very much I always see it like as The Godfather, and that like
They're all meeting around, like sitting at the table.
Well, the characters are legitimately the same. Like Jax is like Michael Corleone, who doesn't want to get into it, wants to see the family be, you know, legitimized. We need to make the family business legitimate. But then he gets pulled into this whole thing and gets sucked down, and ultimately loses pretty much everything. I mean, Jax's stories. Well, no, who cares? You can argue which one's more tragic.
Jax's story is fairly tragic.
I've always liked the part about Clay and the weak hands. And
yeah,
like,
right.
The old school symbolism of like the leader of the pack has to be like the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some tribal kind of thing. Like, okay, if you can't ride anymore, you're out. Like you can't lead us if you can't ride your motorcycle.
If you can't ride into battle with your soldiers, then why are you leading us?
A little bit of Lion King in there, you know, like the evil uncle or whatever. It's like a mix. That's a good one, man. I'm glad you brought up Claymore. I honestly forgot about him, but he is a great character.
Oh yeah, super good character. And then like he gets a really awesome like death scene too. And I feel like that's a really good mark as a villain. You can't just like kill a villain off whatever. Mm-hmm. They have to work really hard to like get at him. He's like that scene of like him getting out of the van and everybody's there and he knows like what's about to happen. He just kind of like accepts it, you know what I mean? Because he's the worst. Like
a Goodfellas moment too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of classic gangster stuff in that show.
That's good stuff.
It's a great show. Well, my top worst is Jimmy Smith's portrayal of Miguel Luis Prado from Dexter season 3.
Cool, dude. Yeah, that's another like unlikable character.
That season was so hard for me to get through because I just could not stand his character. Miguel Prado is the assistant district attorney in season 3, and basically
he's in Sons, right?
He's
like
in Sons.
As Nero.
He's Nero.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jimmy Smits of Attack of the Clones fame because he's young Bail Organa. He's like Leia's dad in that. Excuse me. He's in a lot of stuff, and he's a good actor too. Again, this is something more. Well, no, I don't like him portraying that character. But it might just be the character though.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Jimmy Smits, Prado in the story is the assistant district attorney. He learns that Dexter has been like killing criminals, but he kind of rationalizes it because as an attorney, he's seen people who are guilty get away, like killers get off because of technicalities.
He's tired of people falling through the system.
Exactly.
David.
So he gets on board with it. He's kind of Dexter's first protege.
Yeah. And
in the storyline, the first one, I mean, well, no, because Dexter's dad doesn't really accept him. He tries to change him.
Whereas, it's Vogel was the psychiatrist was the one who was like, no, we have to like redirect this thing in him.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy Smits, though, he accepts Dexter for what he is and wants to learn from him.
Loves him for it.
So he gets into it, and then ultimately, I mean, I feel like everyone knows where the story goes. He becomes a liability. He's like in danger to Dexter and to Deb, his sister. So ultimately, Dexter has to end up killing him.
Why can't people just follow the rules?
People can't follow the rules, right? But then I guess Dexter doesn't follow the rules all the time either, right?
No, I was talking about Harry's rules specifically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he does break those.
He does break the rules, yeah. So Harry's rules. Great show, man.
Yeah, it is a good show.
Great show.
They
Maybe
should
it's
have
time to
ended it
watch it
sooner,
again.
man.
Yeah, they should have. Well, just if you haven't seen Dexter, watch Dexter. Just don't watch the 8th season.
Yeah, don't do it.
Just can't cash out and just tell yourself this is how it ended.
You're like, there were a couple of rough spots there, but overall, enjoyed it.
Imagine he's just there still killing. There you go. All right, man. What's your number 3 top? You scoundrel.
My
You
first top.
breaking scoundrel. Sorry.
I'll break those lists. Give me an opportunity, and I will do it. My number 3 is actually are Liam and Ryan McPoyle, the McPoyle brothers from It's Always Sunny.
Nice.
We got Liam, played by Jimmy Simpson, and Ryan, played by Nate Mooney.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with It's Always Sunny, I hate you. Watch it. Super great show. They're getting ready to start like their final season soon. Been watching it for a very long time. Very humorous. Ryan and Liam are some brothers that grew up with 2 of the main characters, Charlie and Mac. I can't believe I almost forgot their names right now. But they've always kind of been like butting heads their entire history. And Ryan and Liam are from the McPoyle family, who are a strange family of like weirdos. It's just like a long inbred lineage.
Inbred, milk drinking.
Oh
weirdos.
yeah, that love to drink some milk. They're always sweaty, usually in bathrobes, especially like in the early stuff. Way too close. There's a lot of like nefarious things you insinuate about these 2 brothers and their relationship. And their sister, really, all over the place. Not good stuff.
Almost every time they show up, there's like another McPoyle.
Oh yeah,
And those are always hilarious episodes when you get to see a little bit more of the McPoyle family.
oh yeah. But Ryan and Liam, I mean, just what an awesome duo. There's that whole episode of the gang gets held hostage, where the McPoyle brothers and their sister like pretend to be escaping some sort of robbery and like hold these guys hostage. You don't find out till the end that there's like nothing actually happening.
Yeah,
it's
and
all
they're
just like one big prank.
They're making them destroy their bar.
Yeah,
It's like, it's payback.
It's such good stuff.
It's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like villains go, they are not a constant, and it's not like they're out to totally ruin these people, but. And it's not exactly like the main characters in Sunny are heroes either, because they're all terrible people. But they are the antagonists to our main characters, and they do not get along whatsoever. And that's why I thought they had a nice spot in my villain list.
I think they are the most clear antagonists, or at least the ones that are there the longest.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's some other ones where
They're
the
like
characters don't get along
constant
with
throughout.
them,
I'm
but
sure in this final season they're going to face off with the McPoyles in some way.
that's true.
Like they have to.
They have to. Final season of Sunny. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What is going to happen even?
I mean, I've been watching that show since I was like 14.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty insane to think about. It's finally going to finish. I'm excited to see what like how they can top the McPoyle's weirdness, because you're right, they have to be in it.
Yeah, because it's one-upped every time.
And I'm trying to think about, because I'm rewatching the show right now. Some of the later seasons aren't as clear in my head as the earlier ones are, because I've seen those way more.
Yeah.
We just watched the episode where, well, it was a while ago now, but the McPoyle wedding, the McPoyle Ponderosa wedding, and
A solid episode.
Guillermo del Toro is one of the McPoyles. He's like Poppy McPoyle.
Yeah,
or something.
Poppy. Yeah, I'm fairly certain.
Ridiculous.
The crazy guy with the bird.
I love it. I hope he comes back. That's just a great episode. Let me see over here. What do I got? Okay, so we're in top.
Who's
now,
your
right?
bottom top, David?
My bottom top, number 3. I went with an inanimate object. I picked the Murder House from American Horror Story season 1.
Okay, cool, dude. That's a cool villain. Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to think like, who is the villain? I was like, oh, it's the house. It's like an Amityville horror thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, American Horror Story, I think when it first came out, a lot of people were kind of pumped about the idea. I know I was. I thought the trailers were so creepy.
Oh yeah,
the guy
awesome
in the leather
marketing campaign.
in the leather suit, and there was like a pregnant woman playing the cello in one of them that was like really creepy. The season 1 promo stuff was
It was
great.
all just like ambiguously creepy.
And it was like red and black. It was
Yeah.
all these like really intense
Very
contrast in
shiny.
color. Ooh, so good. And I watched the first season and I loved it. I ate it up. It was just great. I think American Horror Story, at least the first season's like 12 episodes maybe. And then you get that story. If you're not familiar with the show, each season is a different story. So it's like, just one contained horror story. And then usually they have the same actors.
Yeah. There's like a main core of actors.
Yeah. To me, it's like a theater house or something. And
Yeah.
every season they put on a new like production. The thing about American Horror Story, though, and maybe some people don't agree, and it's kind of funny because in my high school, my students are crazy about American Horror Story.
Really?
Like there's a large young audience behind it, which I think is kind of cool. I just don't think that any of the seasons are that great afterwards.
No.
And it's always like the first
Freak
5
Show
or
was
6
pretty
episodes
all right.
are good.
Like, I remember still getting like pretty emotionally
Yeah.
invested in Freak Show.
I liked Freak Show, but they never know how to end any of them.
No.
Every single time. The only one that ends well is the Murder House.
Yeah.
Where they all die and they become like now the next set of ghosts in the house. It's like, well, this is really cool.
And the Murder House in it of itself is almost like a theater house where they just keep adding additions to like the cast.
And you get great characters. You get like the maid who's like the seductress, but then everyone else sees her as this like disgusting old lady. And like you have Jessica Lange is the crazy mom next door. And then Tate, little Quicksilver, he's great. He's got this like Kurt Cobain thing going on.
Oh, for sure. Tormented youth.
Yeah. And then there's a whole like, I'm assuming very Columbine inspired episode, which is like one of the scariest episodes. The best one is the 2-part Halloween night episodes.
Yeah.
And those are great.
Because I mean, if you have a horror series and you're having a Halloween episode, you got to bring it.
And they usually do.
Oh, yeah.
Do another Halloween episode. Taissa Farmiga is probably the main character, the little girl, who's Vera Farmiga's sister.
Really?
They're 20 years apart.
Whoa.
They're sisters. I mean, she looks like she could be her daughter. They look exactly the same. I heard the Murder House is coming back in either the series that just finished or the next one. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I lost track. Asylum was pretty good. I got through that one. Freak Show.
I don't think I finished Asylum.
I got through it. After that, though, like
Coven.
I watched all the Coven, and that was when I was like, I'm not watching the whole one of these again. Like next time I'm jumping ship. Because I started Hotel, and the same thing. It's like 6 or 7 episodes in. It's like, man, the story's going nowhere.
I don't know if I watched the Hotel one.
Hotel one has Lady Gaga.
No,
it's
I
like,
definitely didn't watch it.
It's like
I
vampires.
think I watched
It's kinda
like
cool.
an episode actually.
Well, and that one's very much
on
The
Netflix.
Shining. That one's like a Shining thing. Whereas the first Murder House is more like Amityville, or you know what I mean? They all kind of take a horror idea and run with it. It's a great idea on paper. I just wish these guys would. It just seems like they don't have it all written out or something.
Make a plan so you can see like where you're going at the end of this thing.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating. But overall, it was a great season. You know, if you want to check out American Horror Story, just watch the first season.
Yeah.
Just check that out. It's its own contained story. You get everything you need, and it's excellent.
I like our recommendations. They're just and just like take the mistakes out, and then you got yourself a pretty good series.
There's a previously recorded like Jack and Rich from Red Letter Media.
Yeah.
They were talking about like how to watch Star Wars or Star Trek Next Generation. They're like, yeah, just skip the first 2 seasons and then start on like the 4th episode of season 3. And then if you really like it, go ahead and go back. And I'm like, that's too much, guys.
Yeah, that's a lot to remember.
Who's going to do that? But this is what you're going to do, everybody. Just watch the first season. Stop after that. Way easier. Or just watch the first episode of every season and pretend it's a movie or something with a cliffhanger at the end, like a Twilight Zone episode. Anyways, enough babbling. What's your number 2?
My number 2 on my top villains
2 top
is Gilligan from Gilligan's Island, played by Bob Denver.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
I don't know if I
David.
can agree with you that he's a villain.
He's the reason they never get off the island, David.
Yeah, but he's just an idiot.
Is he though? Is he though?
Great.
Have you ever heard of the fan theory
Oh my God.
on Gilligan's Island that they all died on the boat and went straight to hell, and each of these characters or group of characters represent the 7 deadly sins, David?
This is a huge pet peeve of mine, but I hate all these stupid internet fan theories. Oh, the Breakfast Club, they actually all died, and now they're in purgatory where they have to hang. It's like, what? Shut
I love
up.
them so much.
Oh, and the Rugrats Angelica's actually making up all the babies.
So if you're not familiar with Gilligan's Island, there's no fault on you. It's a very old show, but I grew up
guess
on
it's true.
TV Land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gilligan's Island is about a 2-man boat crew of the USS Minnow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the USS Minnow.
I'm pretty sure.
Who are taking all these tourists out on a 3-hour boat tour. things happen. They get caught up in a storm. I'm trying to sing this song in my head right now to like get the right verbiage, but it's not going to happen. And they crash on this deserted, uncharted island. And the main characters, you have Gilligan, who is the skipper's right-hand man, his second hand on the USS Minnow, on the boat. I don't even know what accent that was.
That was interesting.
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. And then you have the professor, who is a professor. He's the Brainiac character. You have Mary Ann, who is this sweet little country girl. You have Ginger, who is a Hollywood starlet. She's like this pretty actress. Yeah. I don't know how all these like such different people ended up on this boat by themselves. And then you have the Howells, who are a very rich, not really elderly, but like an older couple.
Yeah.
And that is it, yeah. And the skipper, obviously, who is a larger man.
The Howells is the doctor, right?
No, the Howells are... Is he a doctor?
Is there a doctor?
Dr. Howell? Maybe.
Isn't there a doctor there?
There's the professor.
That's what I'm thinking of. It's been a long time.
He's probably just smart enough to figure out whatever.
Yeah.
But essentially, they're just stuck on this island throughout like the whole series. Mm-hmm. The professor will come up with like an ingenious idea and spend months working on a way to like... either get help or get off of the island. Mm-hmm. And Gilligan foils the attempts every time.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Part of the fan theory is each of them represent one of the 7 deadly sins and all this stuff, which is fun to think about. But even if that is not the case and you don't want to get into that, Gilligan is 100% the villain. If you try to figure out who the villain is it the island? No, the island's the set. It's the location. The island isn't doing anything to keep them there. It just is.
I mean, I still disagree with you, but that's okay. We don't have to agree all the time on We Did a Podcast.
Yeah, I'm not trying to convince you of anything.
There's just no villain. That's all it is.
Gilligan is for sure the villain.
Shows just like didn't used to be so confrontational. It was just like, hey, we're on survival's the villain. Yeah, I'm just being a spoil sport about all this thing. Like, you know, whatever. Have your fan theories. Have fun. Think whatever you want.
I will, David. I will think whatever I want.
Do it.
Gilligan is Satan.
Except for Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord. That's the one I just can't stand. Because people are like, oh, well, George Lucas was really writing him. He's purposely being dumb. It's like, no, they were trying to make a funny character. It didn't work.
Just don't even talk to me about Jar Jar Binks.
Stop making excuses for
Just
him.
leave that as the role.
Yeah.
Just don't bring him up.
You're being the villain by bringing up Jar Jar Binks.
You're part of the problem.
That poor guy. I read something the other day that made me a little bit sad.
Oh.
That the guy who played Jar Jar Binks... like was suicidal for years because of the intense like hatred that the character got.
Oh no.
It makes me feel really bad, but at the same time I'm like, well, he is like the worst character ever now. So it's kind of hard to
How did they pitch that character to you where you were like, this is going to be my big shot?
Was George Lucas pitching the character. There's a video of it that's great. I'll show it to you.
Oh god.
Like,
I have to see this
We've
afterwards.
never had a character as funny as Jar Jar
All right,
Binks
podcast is over.
before.
Let's wrap it up. I got to see this.
And pause. Is that all for your number 2?
Yeah, that's all I
just
got
want to
for
make
my
sure I
number
don't
2.
cut out any info about your 2.
No, that's it. That's essentially it, man.
My
Check out Gilligan's Island if you have a way to watch it. It's a honestly fun show. A lot of those old TV shows, they're a lot of fun.
That reminds me of something too. Is Gilligan's Island still on TV Land?
Who knows? What's on TV Land now?
TV
is it like shows that we were watching when we were kids?
Exactly. I want to say last time I scrolled through TV Land, I saw they had like Full House on or something. But then it's like, well, how far back does it go? I've also always wondered too, like classic rock stations or something. Yeah. What happens like 30 years from now?
They're going to be playing like Disturbed.
I've already heard Weezer on the classic rock station.
Whoa.
But I'm just wondering, like, when is something too old that it just loses its airplay? Like some old stuff from like the 60s or something.
And just never get played again?
Never. Yeah. Is it inevitable? I don't know. Some of those old shows are probably pretty hard to come across. But I agree, dude. Shows like Gilligan's Island, The Waltons is one I watched a lot. But I mean, I imagine that'd be hard to watch now. There's some really good stuff. Some really good old school stuff that people should check out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people
I was just talking about the Munsters earlier today.
Oh, Munsters
That's
is
an
great.
awesome one. Original Addams Family TV show.
MASH I could never get into.
No, I couldn't get into MASH
And my
either.
dad is like a huge MASH fan. And I just
Same.
I was like,
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What you got, David?
My next one, I have the chicken brother himself, Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad.
El Pollo Hermano?
Yeah. The man, Gus Fring is basically like Walter White, hiding in plain sight.
But he has like at the point that we meet him, he's perfected it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a great villain casting. It's like Spider-Man and Venom. You make the villain who's the same person, but maybe just doing something more ruthlessly or like more effective. It's always a cool struggle to set up between two characters. Gus Fring's just got the whole setup. You know what I mean? He's got it down perfectly. He understands like how to make this thing run to where no one would ever guess.
He's got his whole empire running like a Swiss watch, everything's on time.
We were talking about Walter White before the show, before we started recording, and that he's not a villain. He's not a villain. He's an anti-hero.
Oh, for sure.
Although I would argue in the later seasons he probably turns to villain, where we just don't root for him at all anymore. He becomes so unlikable.
Oh yeah.
Especially after killing Mike. After he kills Mike, it's like, ugh.
No reason to kill Mike.
You can't.
That was
you
a
can't
final
deal with
nail
him
in the
anymore.
coffin for sure.
Yeah.
And he realizes it too. You know what I mean? I feel like.
Oh yeah.
He's just like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. There was no reason for me to kill Mike.
What an idiot. Who was working for Gus Fring, right? That's when we we meet him through Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Gus is just he gets Walter immediately upon his entrance to the show, and he knows exactly how to like manipulate him and Jesse into doing exactly what he wants them to do. And it's just great. You feel as a viewer like at any second Gus could come in because he somehow is watching everything that the characters are doing at all time.
Oh yeah.
And that's what's exciting about his character as a villain. It's just like
his power,
overbearing. Yeah. And then of course when he finally dies, what a crazy scene. It's just like you think he's okay walking out of the exploded room, and then you see like the side of his face, and it's just destroyed. And I'm sorry.
I love that he just like fixes his tie because it's so like Gus. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's
it's
so
very
just
Gus.
like I make sure I'm like prim and proper.
That scene is also one of the crossovers between Walking Dead and Breaking Bad, because they actually got Greg Nicotero from Walking Dead to do the special effects.
That's why it looks so good
on the half burned corpse or whatever. Iconic scene from Breaking Bad.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like I don't even need to make a recommendation.
No.
Like if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, it's not my recommendation that's going to change your mind. I mean, everyone has probably recommended it who's ever seen it.
You see that
it's
thing.
So good.
It's so good.
It's
on my
amazingly
last
good.
like run through Walking Dead, I finally got to like the Gus Fring arc.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Sorry about that. It's because like you're wearing your Walking Dead shirt.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's like what happened to my mind.
I'm throwing
there.
too much at you.
Yeah, too much info coming my way. But on my last run through Breaking Bad a little while ago, I was like in the Gus Fring arc, and we were getting towards the end of it, and I started getting like super excited, knowing that Gus's death scene was coming up, and I was getting to see him walk out with that disgusting half a face.
That is
It's
gross.
good stuff.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad a second time. I've
Really?
only seen it the first time through.
Dude, yeah.
I'm ready to watch it again.
Oh, I bet.
Because I wanted to just be able to like sit down and just like take 2-3 weeks and just
watch it.
destroy it. Yeah. So I have to do that soon.
Good
Great
pick,
show.
David. Solid
Great
pick.
job. Thank you. Why don't you give us your top your top baddie.
My favorite TV villain
Yeah.
is going to be him from the Powerpuff Girls.
Aw.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like really all the villains of
Man.
Powerpuff Girls. Super awesome villains. And I'm glad that we each had a cartoon character somewhere.
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
good.
We had characters, I guess.
We
cast,
livened it
really.
up. Yeah, right.
Well, no, not
Well,
a cast, but just like a ton of
Yeah.
characters.
A bevy.
Whatever. But yeah, him. If you're not familiar with the Powerpuff Girls, it was a cartoon that was out, late 90s, early 2000s, on Cartoon Network. Thank you, Cartoon Network, for everything you've given us.
For reals. That generation of cartoons was great.
Yeah, for real.
Of course, I guess everyone says that about their cartoons, though.
But even like, I like some really old cartoons too. Like I like all the
that's
old
true.
classic Looney Tunes stuff. All the what's the other trope? There's the Looney Tunes, and then
There's like all the 80s cartoons, like He-Man,
Yes.
like all the action ones.
Yes.
Those I'm kind of whatever about, but
everything they played on like Hanna-Barbera.
yeah.
Powerpuff Girls. Him was created by Craig McCracken and voiced by Tom Kane. And I just wanted to give him credit because I love the character so much. Tom Kane does an awesome job voicing the character. He's got this really like, just like calm, super calm, cold tone about it. And it's very like, him as a very androgynous character. It's a like almost Satan-y kind of character. It's got these like red lobster claws and the shapes don't make any sense. And you can tell that him's just super powerful. Him has these dark powers about him, or her, whatever him identifies as. Him's just a name, you know. But yeah, seriously, one of my favorite characters of all time of cartoons, at least.
I love the, it was 1998. I was trying to look up him, but it took me to the 2016 Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, interesting. Which I still haven't seen, really.
I haven't either. It looks...
I just feel like, leave it alone, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to touch it and ruin something for myself.
You said Tom Kane, right?
Tom Kane.
Oh, he's also the voice of the professor. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. He also does all the Morgan Freeman impressions on Robot Chicken.
Really? That's cool. He's Yoda in the Clone Wars, which is pretty cool.
Wow, Tom Kane, get it.
Yeah, I mean, usually I think voice actors are, you know, they usually keep it like they keep getting roles.
Yeah.
As like opposed to a regular actor, maybe it's a little harder. Whenever I look up a voice actor, I'm like, wow, they've done like 300 things or something. This is like insane. 235 credits. Yeah, he's been Yoda for a while too, all the way back to Battlefront 2.
And you know what? And as a kid, I remember
do
being
Battlefront
like super creeped out whenever it was a him episode. Like something about the way that they edit the voice and just everything about the character. It's really unnerving. It's awesome stuff.
I'm glad you said that because I also was very uncomfortable with the character, which I think some of it you have to kind of put up to like the time that we were brought up in. In the mid 90s. Like if you look at today and the representation that like LGBT characters get, it's totally different. I think him was like one of the earliest, like,
oh, for
definitely,
sure. At least in my mind's memory, you know what I mean?
I don't know if
things
it's
that I saw.
Trans character, or I don't know exactly what you would call
like
it.
Androgynous is
just
the word
androgynous,
for sure,
yeah.
dude.
And it was an interesting thing to kind of process as a little kid.
Oh yeah.
Just like, whoa, what is up with this character? And you knew that there was something like strange,
but you didn't know what it was, which made it stranger.
It's really cool, but I think it kind of like opened up a whole generation, really.
Oh, I'm sure.
Stuff like that really does make a big difference. Like when kids see something and it becomes normal to them, they're not weirded out later in life, which most prejudices are just because people don't understand something or something is unknown to them or unusual.
We fear what we don't know.
Yeah, it's the fear of the others, right? That's a great pick, dude. Him's a great pick.
I was happy with my pick.
Mine's like way darker, I guess.
Ooh, yeah, give it to me, David. Let's get dark.
My number one pick, and it would be a crime if we didn't mention the show while doing a list of villains, but Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah. I'm curious to see which villain you chose because there's a couple that I almost picked.
Who would you have chosen?
I was bouncing around between Joffrey, of course.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm gonna forget it. The bastard of
the one who
Baratheon,
they battle with,
right?
The Battle of the Bastards.
The Battle of the Bastards, yeah. Renly? No.
Yeah. Renly Baratheon?
Is that his name?
I can't remember his name now. There's so many names
what are you gonna do?
In Game of Thrones.
And then obviously Cersei.
I ended up picking Cersei Lannister.
Nice.
As my choice. There's a lot of villains in Game of Thrones. There's a lot of villains in the Lannister / Baratheon family.
Oh, for real.
If you want to pick someone, you can pick almost anyone off that list.
It's like a lineage of villains.
Tywin Lannister, he wasn't the right pick for me. You know, I just think he's more of a minor character. Joffrey was a very close choice, but he's, to me, and it's a little bit of that like flavor of the week thing I'm talking about with Sons of Anarchy or something else. He's like the villain of the season.
Yeah.
Where I see Cersei as being like
consistently villainous,
like the overall villain. Maybe
Yeah.
It's also arguable that Littlefinger's like the biggest because he's the one really behind the scenes, like antagonizing everyone,
pulling the strings.
The guy you're talking about is Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay, thank you.
Ramsay would be a great choice, but again, to me, that's more of the villain, villain of the season until we kill him. Or although I think he's around a little bit longer. Cersei
so
Lannister,
hateable.
So hateable.
So hateable.
Cersei Lannister gets more evil as the show goes on. Because at first you think, she's doing everything for her family or whatever. It's like, no, it's not really. It's really about her.
I mean, and we're at the point towards the end here where she's just like unhinged. You know what I mean? It's just like hate propelling her at this point.
Especially after Tommen dying.
Oh, yeah,
dude. It's kind of like nothing else is.
Got nothing left to lose.
Nothing matters at this point. Even Jaime is like now picking up that like, oh gosh, like I cannot mess around with this. She's evil. Like she will kill me.
Yeah.
I'm 100% for it. At this point, I'm almost Team Cersei. Like
I was gonna say, I feel like
I
feel like I remember you saying like, guys, I'm Team Cersei.
Yeah. What I want to see happen is the White Walkers show up. They all join forces. They manage to kill the White Walkers, and then right at the opportune moment, Cersei just kills Jon Snow, kills Dany, and just reigns with an iron fist.
It just becomes Cersei's world.
Over this like frozen wasteland of dead bodies, just Cersei. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. She's great. She's super evil.
I mean, and they started dressing her in all that black and everything. She just looks so good.
She looks like a Sith Lord or something.
For real.
Straight up, she looks evil. And especially in the last couple seasons, she's done things to other characters, just like torturing people, like just like cruelly and just no sense of remorse, just like destroying people's lives.
Oh, for sure.
It's so evil. It's like the most evil thing ever. And it's great. That's what makes Game of Thrones really good. One thing about Game of Thrones, and I'm just saying this now so we can have it on record one day.
Get it on record, David.
Breaking Bad, perfect series. No mistakes almost. Like, no, I wouldn't even say mistake. Like, maybe you have a difference on a couple episodes. Perfect series.
Oh, yeah.
Things like
I'm
Sons
okay
of
with that. I'll
Anarchy,
agree.
Dexter, they're so close to perfection. But every once in, and I think Dexter more so than Sons, every once in a while they take a couple missteps here or there.
Yeah.
Or maybe they didn't stick the landing at the end. Game of Thrones is on track to being like one of the best fantasy series of all time. I mean,
we'll see, man. We'll see how they wrap it up.
It's already up there as one of the best, but can it just stick the perfect landing?
I mean, the landing's so hard. The
It's
landing
been
is the
building up
hardest
so
part.
long. Yeah, they have to battle like hundreds and thousands of online internet trolls trying to guess the ending of Game of Thrones, and they have to fool everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people
You
have
can't
been
see
reading
it
this
coming.
book since the 90s. Like, you need to have the perfect ending. So, I don't know, dude. I'm excited to see what this finally, and it's finally coming around.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's coming up. Like, it's felt like forever.
It really does.
I'm excited.
And I got
to
in
see.
like late, you know what I mean? I just had to like binge a bunch of that stuff.
I got in, I think, a little bit earlier than you. Hey, it's actually been a while now. It was like season 2 or 3 was out.
I mean, at this point, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like forever.
So I caught up pretty early on and was watching on HBO. I have a friend of mine who watched it this last year, caught up all the way, and he's like, man, 2 years?
Because Game of Thrones just sucks you in, you know what I mean?
It does. Yeah, I think the first like episode might be a little bit dry, or it's just
But
confusing.
as soon as Bran gets pushed off of that tower, you're like, oh my God.
That is great. And then you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
well, one more episode?
Yeah.
And then it never stops. That's great, dude. I just hope, I wish the best for you, Game of Thrones. You can do it. You can do it.
We're pulling for you.
I wanted just real quick to show off. While doing some research, obviously other people have made lists of top TV villains. Rolling Stone did a top 40 TV villains of all time. I have
Okay.
the top 5. I just want to toss them by you, see what you think.
Hit it.
The first one, and I'm not going to say it because I'm actually watching Twin Peaks right now. I don't even know who this character is. It's the guy in It's who killed Laura Palmer. If you haven't seen Twin Peaks,
No, I haven't watched it yet.
I watched the first season. It was really engaging. I was kind of like into it. Everyone said the second season gets boring, and then I watched the second season, and it's so boring. I might not ever get to it, but I want to see it because I like David Lynch. I thought Mulholland Drive was super crazy.
That was a fun ride.
And it's like, this is his TV series. And then there's a third season of Twin Peaks that just came out. They like brought it back with all
Okay.
the cast. So I don't know. I need to get around to watching it. Basically the answer to the mystery of the show, the premise of the whole show. That's the villain they're going for. I can't really voice an opinion on it though. I'm not that far into it. The show's super crazy though. If you like some weird stuff, if you want to get weird with it, watch Twin Peaks.
I do like to get weird with it.
Number 4, Joffrey, Game of Thrones.
I mean, we've
Easy
discussed,
choice.
yeah.
Easy choice. He's a crazy kid.
It's terrible.
And for a while, I think he's the one everyone hates the most. At the beginning of the show, no one likes Joffrey.
I mean, just straight up like psychopath.
I think this next one, and my handwriting's bad, I'm sorry. It's Livia Soprano. One of the Sopranos, it seemed like maybe the matriarch of the Sopranos.
Okay.
I feel like I'm missing an essential piece of pop culture. I've never watched The Sopranos.
Yeah, me neither.
It was one of the early shows like Oz, the prison, not the magical land of Oz, but the prison show. They're like early cinematic TV shows, which is now, and then we were saying the same thing earlier too, you know, like things are now epic tales.
Yeah, for real.
Where TV used to just be like Gilligans Island, where you just watched one story every week.
Watch a wacky adventure happen.
Now you're watching like evolution of characters and everything. It's really crazy. One of the first shows to do it. And I really want to see it because I love crime, like Italian monster movies.
Crime.
I love crime.
I'm totally
movies.
gonna cut that and use it somewhere.
I love crime.
I love crime.
It'll be a smear campaign.
If you ever run for office.
I love crime. Who's next?
Who's next, David?
Marlo Stanfield, The Wire.
I started The Wire a long time ago.
Really?
No, I started The Shield a long time ago.
Is it the same creator?
Never finished it.
I feel
I'm
like
pretty
it
sure
is.
it is.
Yeah, and I need to.
No, The Shield is. I'm pretty sure I watched it because it's Kurt Sutter.
The Shield is Kurt Sutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you're
I
right.
had and like Sons of Anarchy had just wrapped up, and I was like, well, let's see this other thing he did.
Any good or what?
I mean, it was enjoyable. Yeah, I think I got like 3 seasons in or something like that.
Okay.
2 seasons in. Who
Okay.
knows?
I need
It
to
was
watch.
a long time ago.
I need to watch the Wire and the Shield. Number one, their number one villain, TV villain, Ben Linus from Lost.
Okay.
You've
Yeah.
seen Lost, right?
Yeah, I never finished it.
Oh, okay. That's
I
right.
never finished Lost, but I watched like I think most of it, which is crazy that I never finished it now.
You should finish it.
Yeah, I should.
I mean, you'll still be just as lost
Yeah.
if you jump back in and just try and watch it. Ben Linus is one of the others, and he's like the first villain, like the first time you put a face to who the villain on the island is.
Oh, for sure.
He's a good pick. I was actually
He
for
does
one
a
of
bunch of those like villain like stares. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's like, I'm up to no good.
And in the beginning, he doesn't talk at all, right? Isn't that the thing? He just refuses to answer any questions. And he's got such a weird face. Not to
Yeah.
make fun of a guy, but that's part of like.
That's probably like part of why they cast him.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like.
That's how you get a character actor.
Doesn't this guy end up being a good guy though in Lost later? I get so lost thinking about Lost. The show's
Aptly
all over
named
the
show.
place. That poor show got hit by the writer's strike, and that's why it just for a while just bumbles. I don't know. Maybe controversially, I kind of like the ending of Lost. People hate on it, but I'm okay with it. Well, man, I
I
just
need
wanted
to
to
get
run
back
those
on
by
that
you.
horse for sure.
You should. I think it's worth watching the end, especially just because it's such a split idea. I was gonna put John Locke as one of my bottom villains because they make Locke a bad guy for a while.
Yeah.
But then he's not like really a bad guy. He's just like
In a bad place.
and it's not that too, but he's also like trying to discover the mystery of the island. There's a lot of ambiguity on like his character. But I also it's been such a long time since I saw Lost, I didn't want to get too into that without being able to reference exactly what I was talking about. There's so much of that show. It's so long. There's some really good character moments though.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Anyways, Franklin, that's all I got.
I mean, that's all I got. That's all we got.
That's all we got.
That's it. We did it.
We did well. We saw Peeps and Predicts.
Oh, yeah. How did I forget about Peeps and Predicts?
How'd you forget about that, man?
Yeah.
It's the most consistent thing about us.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to have to snap to it because I know I can see the time running here on my laptop, and I know that time is running out over here.
Yeah, we're running on a tight schedule, everybody. So we're gonna get to it.
Who we got?
It's another Donald Trump.
Oh, you're going to get a lot of Donald Trumps.
I got DJT versus Honest Abe,
Okay.
and this is from Nathan Black,
Thank you, Nathan.
a great cellist and a great friend. Nathan, you're a stand-up guy.
All right, which of these gentlemen would be better at surviving a Saw scenario? Which is great. We just finished playing some Saw.
Oh, I wrote this one, especially after watching all the Saw movies and playing Saw. I'm going to go ahead and open up in favor of Donald Trump
Interesting.
because Saw is all about, I mean, typically, okay. It's about two things. One, can you hurt yourself? But sometimes it's about like, can you be the selfish one? and like screw the other people out, depending on what Saw movie you're watching. I think Donald Trump would be really good at that. I think Honest Abe, first off, he's too honest to be in a Saw scenario to begin
I
with.
was going to say, like, which of these two is more likely to be in a Saw scenario? Who knows? Every president is terrible in their own way.
But I think Honest Abe, let's say he was in a group Saw setting. I think he'd be like, oh, well, I'm out. You know what I mean? He'd take a loss for other people. Maybe. Of course, this is an idealized version of history.
Well, while I want to argue, like, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think Donald Trump is the more cutthroat of the two,
Right.
more out to like for his own survival. It's got to be Donald Trump.
Exactly. And say there was some scenario like in Saw 7 or 6 or whatever, he's got to like save his wife and hook those things on.
Yeah.
He'd be like, nah, I'll just wait.
Yeah.
Nah, just get rid of her. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down.
No, cool. Whatever. What's the next thing?
Cool. Can I go?
Yeah. Do I have to wait here? Well,
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Donald,
the Donnie.
your thieving business sense, and then something.
He'd have the best people working on it.
Oh yeah, the best. That was bad. That was a bad Donald Trump impression.
Do you want to get us our second predict?
Yeah, man. Let me get in here.
Let's see if there's something that Honest Abe can give Donald Trump a run for his money at.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. That was a stretch.
What's it going to be, David?
Successfully hide an affair. And this is from Base Frank.
Huh.
I think this is one of our other ones from Base Franklin.
Well,
This
I'm
is
going to go
almost-
ahead and lead this one.
Go ahead.
Because Donald Trump is terrible at hiding affairs.
Oh.
We know about a bunch of them. There might be some that he's still kept hidden, but we know about a lot of them. And you might argue that he was like a public figure, but so was Abraham Lincoln. Name one of Abraham Lincoln's affairs.
I see and agree with your point 100%. We know Donald Trump is having affairs, but my question is, could Honest Abe even hide an affair?
He was a politician
Because he's
for
too
sure.
honest. He's never told a lie.
It's a story that we tell kids.
Yeah, that's probably is true.
Yeah, dude.
I'm tied up on this one. Because maybe Donald Trump has more affairs we don't even know about. But
I
you
know.
can't deny that he's bad at hiding them because we know about all of them so far.
But you can't say like with certainty that Abraham Lincoln never had any affairs.
Frank,
It was a different time.
You created a reasonable doubt. I'm on your side.
You cannot convict.
Can we, if the glove doesn't, if the giant hat doesn't fit, you must acquit. Can you read us one more? Let's get a tiebreaker in here, man.
Tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker, everyone. How
I'm
exciting.
excited. I hope it's something fun. Let's see what we got. Oh, the suspense.
This is tough.
The final unfold. Who would you choose to deliver your baby? This is from a Pablo H.
Pablo H., great artist. We've had one of his last time. I was talking about how good of an artist he was. Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, for sure. I was
don't want
going
Donald
to
Trump
give you
anywhere
the
near
lead
my
on this
baby.
one because we were kind of jumping back
Yeah.
and forth naturally, but for sure, Abraham Lincoln.
No
I don't want
way.
Donald Trump's tiny little hands anywhere near my baby.
No way. Tiny little baby hands trying
Probably
to grab
drop
my
'em.
baby. They're not big enough to hold my baby. They're
No,
tiny little hands.
There's no way.
No way.
Especially not your baby. Your baby's going to have a big old giant head.
Giant head. You need giant, tall Abraham Lincoln hands
Oh, for sure.
to grab that baby.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, oh, and let me tell you about the history of our country, son.
Hello, new American.
Right? You are the justice of the people. I don't know. Something inspirational. The baby would love it.
Something super inspirational.
Right.
Way too inspirational for me to even try to think about because I'm not as inspirational as Abraham Lincoln.
Ugh, yeah. Donald Trump being in the delivery room, that just grosses me out.
Yeah.
You're out.
Shouldn't be allowed near hospitals.
And just like 2020 Donald Trump, you're out. No, I'm
Get
just
outta
joking.
here.
I don't want to say that because chances are he probably is going to win an election again, but
It's hard to beat an incumbent. What you going to do?
we'll see how stupid people are. Well, that's rude too. We'll see how people decide to vote based on the issues presented to them.
Hello, America. You're stupid.
Just get a better candidate, Democrats.
Come on, get it together.
Don't bet on
DNC,
Hillary
let's do
Clinton
this.
again. Okay. Let's settle what we're really here for, everybody.
This is honestly like Yeah, come on. What we got? What we got?
What we got? Batman.
Okay.
4
come
more
on.
years. 4 more years.
I'm so nervous. Give me something. Give me something. Come on.
Yeah.
Fight 100 duck-sized horses. This is from a Janet B.
Oh, that's Javier B.
Javier B.
Solid bass player, Javier B.
That's a great predicament. I think Abraham Lincoln would do a fine job of fighting 100 duck-sized horses. I think he would do great. He's got long arms, long reach. Yeah, mashing them, bashing them with all kinds of stuff. Go ahead and go, David. Go ahead.
Let's just be honest.
I know.
Who's the better fighter?
Okay. Yeah, as soon as I read fight, I was like,
You
damn
just-
it.
You can't beat
One
Batman.
more week of a Batman win.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. At this point,
I really have nothing.
At this point, if we had a fair argument, I'd be like, okay.
I've never felt more defeated in a situation than like Batman being stuck as the reigning champ of Peeps and Predicts.
It is great.
When I thought up this segment, never did I dream like I'm going to be stuck talking about Batman every time we do this.
Oh, this was your idea, and it's become your torture device.
Yeah.
There's just no way. There's just no way you can say Abraham Lincoln's a better fighter than Batman. It's unfortunate.
I mean, we can't know for sure.
We can. It's Batman. It's Batman. Sorry.
Well, folks, if you have suggestions for some peeps, if you have suggestions for a predicament, shoot them to us at davidandfrankandbeans@gmail.com or leave us a comment below. If you enjoyed yourself, give us a like. If you like what we're doing, check out some of our other stuff. Maybe subscribe, you know? Leave us a comment. Let us know what your favorite flavored Jell-O is. And we'll see you all next time.